In Mothernode CRM editions that include marketing, you have the ability to create attractive lead capture forms and seamlessly apply them to your website. Although these types of web-based forms are common on websites for capturing company, product, demonstration, and special event interest from website visitors, what sets Mothernode CRM apart is the integration of our lead capture forms with our sales and marketing functions. For example, when a website guest submits a lead capture form, the form is submitted to Mothernode, which automatically creates and assigns the lead. So it's added to your sales pipeline immediately and is ready to be worked by the assigned rep. At the same time, the respondent can be automatically placed into one or more marketing follow-up sequences, so your company can begin to reach out to the new prospect quickly and while the interest level is high. All of these functions are completely contained within Mothernode CRM, so you don't have to toggle between applications to accomplish this. And the automation capabilities enable you to reach out to new prospects faster and more effectively, resulting in a shorter and more successful sales cycle. Creating and managing lead capture forms in Mothernode CRM begins with the marketing menu and selecting lead capture forms. That will take you to the lead capture form list. You can see that as with other lists in Mothernode CRM, it's completely searchable and sortable. You have options on the right for each individual entry, each individual form, including opening up the form to edit it. You can create a new form based on an existing form with the duplicate form option, and that may save you some time, especially if the new form that you're trying to create is very similar to the previously created form. The preview option will also save you time because you do not necessarily have to open and edit a form to preview it to see what it looks like. You can simply select this option from the list. For example, if I click on this preview, then it opens a preview window. It shows me basically what the web form looks like, and I did not have to leave the list to view it, and I can simply click close to close out of that. We know that the X is a delete option, but only if absolutely necessary. Do not delete unless you know for a fact that it must be deleted. In the upper right, you can begin a new lead capture form from the very beginning, and then you have a settings option that will allow you to control BCC settings globally for all forms. Now, you can do this individually in terms of copying one or more team members from your company to be copied when a respondent clicks submit on a form on your website. So you can set the BCC settings globally or individually by form. So as previously noted, we have two ways of creating a new lead capture form. We can start from the very beginning by clicking New Lead Capture Form in the upper right, or we can use Duplicate Form to the right of the form that we would like to copy. If we have a form that is similar to the one that we would like to create, it's already been created, and all we'd like to do is copy it and make adjustments and save it, it could save us some time in creating the new form, so we can use Duplicate Form. If that's the case, then just click this icon and we'll see that we've copied the form called Web Form Basic in this example, and it's basically copied everything, all elements of Web Form Basic, and it's added the word copy in parenthesis to the right of the name Web Form Basic. And now I can go in and click edit and make modifications to make this form original and to meet my specifications. So that's one way to do it. Now, going back to the list, the other method again is to start from the beginning. I wanted to show you both because there's a slight difference on the front end. Once you get into the add and edit screen for lead capture forms, then the process is identical, but the front end is just a little bit different depending on how you begin the process. So in this case, if I'm creating a new lead capture form from the beginning, I click the icon, and you can see that there are 2 initial fields that I need to create or enter information for. And through video magic, I have completed these fields to save us a little bit of time, but as you can see, the purpose of the fields, form title and form description, are to provide initial information. We'll see once we get into the formal process for setting up the lead capture form that these fields can be displayed on the form, or you can hide them for internal viewing only. But either way, once I've completed these fields, I simply click Save, and now we see the confirmation notification that the new form has been created. We see these 4 tabs below that allow us to flow through and easily yet thoroughly set up the form, and then in the future subsequently manage the form. This includes form settings, basic parameters for the forms, the stylizing of the form itself in terms of colors, background colors, font sizes, font types, other specifications, to make the form look exactly the way we want it to look on our website. The Fields tab will allow us to select the exact fields that we would like displayed on the form, and there are parameters that we can control with respect to each field as we go through and select them. Confirmation options will allow us to determine how we would like a confirmation displayed to the respondent. And that can be simply a text message on a page, it can be a redirect to a website, we can even send a confirmation email, and there are other confirmation options as well, where you can really fine-tune things and automate the process further, as I mentioned earlier in this presentation. And then you or your web developer will need the Form Code tab to determine the type of code for the form to copy and subsequently paste onto the specified web page where you would like the form to appear. Now let's go back to the Form Settings tab and step through the process and show you how to create the lead capture form in detail. First, we'll complete some basic fields that you see on the Form Settings tab. We've already given the form a name and a description as we discussed earlier. You have the option of displaying one or the other or both on the form, or you can maintain those fields as internal read-only fields. In this example, as you can see on the right, as I begin to build the form, I'm showing the name of the form, but no description. But again, that's completely at your discretion. And by the way, as you begin to develop the form, you'll see results on the right side of the screen. So as I add fields, you'll see those populate the right side of the screen as well. That's why it looks blank right now, but it will fill up, so to speak, as I add and manage fields. And then below form name and description, I can specify the name of one of my salespeople that will be assigned the lead when a respondent submits the form. So I simply select that name from the drop-down list. I can optionally specify an email address for somebody to be BCC'd when a respondent submits a form. It can be more than one person. Just be sure to separate email addresses as it states here with a comma. I can provide an optional internal reference, and I can specify a promo code, one that has already been created, because as you can see, this is a drop-down selection. Now, just as a side note, promo codes can be managed from the marketing menu, and then clicking on Campaign Analytics, that's where you can go in and create a promo code. It's optional, but the purpose of it would be to allow you to tie a special unique promo code to the form, and then you can actually track the success, the history success of that form in terms of leads generated, quotes, orders, invoices, and so forth, depending on the version of Mothernode that you currently have. So using a promo code can be very beneficial for tracking purposes. Now below these fields, we have the form stylizing options, and that will include all elements of your lead capture form. So that will include the width and the height of the form in pixels, border width in pixels, and then you have complete control over the color of the background as well as the border if you choose to use one. You can also control the stylizing of anything font related. That could be titles, that could be headings, labels, the fields themselves. So that includes the type of font, the size, if you would like to bold or italicize, and then of course coloring of the fonts. So you'll have complete control over that. And then because the form has a submit button, you have control over the stylizing of that as well, including the button label, where you would like that placed, left, right, or centered, the size of the label, and then of course the font type and size and other stylizing elements, right down to whether or not you would like the button to have rounded corners or squared corners. Now in this example, one thing we can do is begin to select fields and then manage those fields and then come back and begin to stylize the fields. That may make the process flow a little bit better, but the order in which you do these things is completely up to you. So let's go ahead and select some fields for the lead capture form. Initially, you're going to see a complete list of available fields, and this corresponds to the fields that are available in Mothernode. Now for convenience, what you can do is click on a category name, as you can see, and that makes the selection process a little bit easier. So for example, if I would like to collect from the respondent basic information, their name and email address for starters, then what I can do is go to the contact section. I could have selected from the all section, but to make it easier, I'll click on contact and then click on contact info. So it's as easy as selecting a field type, and then the information begins to appear on the right. In this case, contact info brings up 3 fields: first name, last name, and email for email address. And this is basically the process. You find fields that you would like to add to the form, you make the selection on the left, you'll see it appear on the right, and then you can begin managing it further. Let's say that I would also like to obtain, if possible, the title of the person that is responding to the form. I see that title is an available option under contact, so I'll click on that, and then that appears below. Let's say that I would also like the phone number, if possible, from the respondent, and that will be included under the header, telephone number. So I make that selection. And then I would also like to obtain the company name, and I select that as well. To deselect or remove a field from the right, I simply click the field name again on the left, and let's say that I want to remove the telephone number, and you'll see that go away on the right. If I want to re-add it, no problem. I click it again, and it appears below. Now, if I determine that, well, I really wanted the telephone number, but I wanted it above, then it's simply a matter of clicking and dragging and dropping into the appropriate position. So you can reposition these fields any way you like. And just as a side note, I could have removed the field by clicking on the gray area, and I see the gray area turn to blue, and this round button on the right can be clicked to remove a field. To re-add it, once again, I click it on the left, it reappears, and then I can reposition accordingly. I would like for telephone to be between email and title, so I'm going to click and drag and drop, and it's that easy. Other options related to fields include being able to make certain fields required, and then controlling the field length. And then you can also modify the field label or caption.
The way that you do that is, once again, click within the gray area, turns to blue, and you'll see additional options appear on the left. So going from left to right, you can modify the caption or label. You can add to it. In this case, I'd like to add a little more text so it reads email address. So it's that easy. I can make certain fields required by clicking the checkbox below required. And as I do this, you'll see an asterisk to the right of the field label. And I can control the size of the field itself. It defaults to full. If I click small, you can see what happens on the right. It gives it a small length. Medium will give it this length, and then clicking full will return it to full length. I can also give it a custom length by specifying a number in this field representing pixels. So I have a lot of control over those elements. It's very easy to access, as you can see. To leave this mode, just click the X in the upper right. And one additional note that bears mentioning with respect to fields is that if I go to the contact category, I'll see a field called opt-in. If I select that, I'll now see that at the bottom of my form. Just like with the other fields, I can reposition it. I can click and drag and drop to reposition it. I can click on the shaded area to allow me to go to the left and update the caption if I desire. If not, I'll simply close out of it. But it is a good option. It will allow you to add a field that allows the respondent to choose whether or not they wish to be added to your marketing program. So it's truly an opt-in function. So at this point, what I'll do is scroll to the top and click Preview to begin to get a feel for what my form looks like. And one thing I noticed right off the bat is it appears that certain fields are cut off. So this will lead me back into form styling. So what I'll do is close out of the preview. I can always go back to it, and I'll go to the form styling section. What I need to do is lengthen my height. So I'll lengthen it to 700 pixels. I can always go back and readjust it. Additionally, what I can begin to do is style the form further. I can do things like adjust the styling of the labels for each of the fields. So if I want to change the font type and the size, even bold it, italicize it, change the color, I can do that. I can select a color. As you can see, I have a lot of wiggle room as far as the color selection is concerned. I can also specify a hexadecimal code, and then it's just a matter of clicking select and exiting out of the color selection window. So I can do this with other elements of the form, headings, descriptions, titles. Even the submit button I can adjust as well. So if I prefer to see it centered rather than left justified, I can do that. If I'd like for it to be a larger size, I can specify that. I can even specify that I do not want rounded corners for the button. And then, as with the other fields, I can modify the font type and size. Let's say that I would like the size to be a little bit larger. I would like for it to be bolded, and I would like for the color to be a different color. Let's say blue. Select it, close out of this, but on a different color background. And I'll select this color, click select, exit out of this, and now I can go in and preview and get a better feel for what it looks like now. I'll click on preview, and now I can see the impact of my changes. I can see that all of my fields, right down to my submit button, are visible based on the lengthening of the form, and I see the modification to the size and type and coloring of the field label as well. So there's a lot that you can do here to stylize it and make sure that it meets the specifications for your website. One other thing to note is that in terms of coloring, like border color, background color, if you wish to make the color, the background color of your form be transparent so that it blends into the background color of the web page that it will be placed on, then what you can do is simply use a pound symbol without any code and then click select, exit out of this, and that will create a transparent background. You can do that with the border as well, or again, you can add a border that is a specific color and you can control the actual border width. So you can have a very thin border width or a very thick border width. So the final product is going to look like this, a very nice, professional, well laid out form that integrates very, very well into your company's website. Now, once you've completed the setup and stylizing of your lead capture form, go to Confirmation Options. That will allow you to specify how to respond back to the respondent. For example, near the top of Confirmation Options, you'll have a choice. You can either show some type of confirmation text on the web page that the form resides on. Just click this radio button and provide your text below. As you can see, you have all of the standard formatting options at the top here. Or you can choose to redirect the respondent to a different page, another page on your website. Simply click redirect, or click the radio button next to redirect to website, and specify the web address. And as it states here, make sure it's the full URL. And then you have a few options for the website address. The recommended option would be to leave the current page and then go to the target URL that's specified right here. So you have a choice between showing predefined text that you enter, or you can once again redirect to a website page. Optionally, you can also send a confirmation email by clicking the checkbox next to Send an Auto Reply, and then you would set it up just as you would set up a standard email. Type in the subject, type in the email response. You can add a signature as well, and you can even use placeholders. A common method, as it states here in the gold section, is to specify first name in brackets just as you see it. And if you're capturing a first name in the form, then that name will be inserted into where you see the brackets, and that way you can better personalize the response back to the respondent. So you can send an immediate auto email reply. Again, this is optional, and you activate that by clicking the checkbox to the left. Additionally, you can automate marketing for the new contact that you're capturing in Mothernode. You can specify Mothernode follow-up sequences, one or more, to add the new contact to, and they can begin receiving marketing follow-ups immediately or as specified by the sequence that you have developed. So this is a great way to automate marketing, get them right into follow-up sequences to keep their already high interest as high as possible as you have somebody assigned to the lead, working the lead, and reaching out to the contact, the prospect, that way as well. And then the final piece to the setup process of your lead capture form is going to the form code tab, the form code section, and working with your web developer, if you're not that person, to determine the type of code that needs to be pulled or copied and then pasted onto the desired web page on your website. As you can see, you have a number of options that are pop-up based HTML, WordPress based, JavaScript, and iframe. The most common that's typically recommended is the JavaScript code, but as you can see, you have a number of options here. And once you have the form set up, then everything becomes automated. In this example, let's say I'm a prospect, I'm interested, I complete the form, I receive the message at the top, the confirmation message with some additional information, some additional options, as you can see. And based on our form setup, the lead notification email immediately appears to the person that the form is assigned to, in addition to any of the BCC email contacts that you've added. So you can see it's a very nice, very informative email. And in turn, for the person that the new lead is assigned to, they can then go to their Mothernode account and they will see the lead at the top of their leads and opportunities list. So they can begin to work the lead immediately while the interest level is very high. And additionally, that contact again will receive any marketing email if you've added them, if you've set up the form to add them immediately to marketing sequences. So you can see that the automation that you set up on the front end while setting up your form will pay off with big dividends in the end. For additional tutorials and information on Mothernode CRM features, please visit our YouTube channel, Mothernode CRM Support Center, or contact us with any questions at customer.support@mothernode.com.